Hey, what's up, everybody? JayC here, and we're back at it with another live stream talking WandaVision, episode 7. Sorry for the delay. I know this was supposed to be yesterday, but things got hectic with the news, and I just wanted to get a regular news video out to cover all the latest happenings and stuff. And so I pushed the live stream until today. And honestly, just a fair warning, I'm a little burnt. Today was one of those days, so had to sit through like 2 hours of Hasbro's Investor Day presentation, which is boring, but you never know when there might be some bit of news or something. Sometimes they've actually shown new Marvel Legend figures in those things, so but not fun to sit through those unless you're like an investor, which I'm not, or yeah, along those lines. But anyway, like I said, just fair warning that I'm a little tired, I'm a little burnt, a little spent today, so I'm probably gonna try and keep today's video to about an hour. We might go over a little bit, but I want to go on and do it today because obviously the newest episode of WandaVision is going to air tomorrow, and it didn't make sense to wait until tomorrow to talk about last week's episode. Let's see who's in the house. Jack's in the house. Mark is in the house. John is in the house. What's up, everybody? Michael. Blake, what's up, man? CM Brock is in the house. Kyle. Yep, Kyle. Another day with no official announcement on the Snyder Cut figures from McFarlane. I was hoping it was going to be this week, but looks like they're going to go. I mean, I guess technically it could be tomorrow, but my guess is they're probably going to wait until next month for whatever reason. So, but nothing so far. We did get more leaked listings for McFarlane stuff this week, which I talked about on Monday. But no Snyder Cut. But we did get the title for the new Spider-Man movie this week. So No Way Home. So I don't know what you guys think about that title. I guess it works. They seem to like the word home in their Spider-Man movie titles. So all the BS titles that the stars of the movie started posting, before they made the official announcement, I could have done without, but there you go. What's up, CM Brock? But yeah, so we got that title, and even a couple of images of the three main actors. Looks like they were researching something or such. I don't know, but I don't think any real, there was nothing in those images they released that really give us any details on what the overall plot is going to be, though. As we've all suspected, it's likely going to be dealing with the multiverse in some way. And of course, also we got the official premiere date for the Loki series, which is going to be in June. So looks like there's going to be a bit of a gap between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki. So we're going straight into Falcon and Winter Soldier, but then we're going to have a gap between that one and the next one. And Falcon and Winter Soldier is only going to be 6 episodes. A little bummed that they're only doing 6 episodes for that series. They are going to be 1 hour episodes, which is good, but I would have liked to have seen at least like 8 or 9 episodes for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it's going to be over before it starts. It's probably how it's going to feel like, but oh, and then there was a confirmation that there are in fact only 2 episodes left of WandaVision. So this week's episode that's going to premiere tomorrow, and then next week's episode on March 5th will be the finale episode. So that whole last 3 episodes are going to be 1 hour, was complete utter BS, because obviously last week's episode was not 1 hour, it was only 37 minutes, which I kind of figured it was kind of BS, but that's the internet for you. But I do, I think this week's episode will be longer than last week. So and somebody told me that they had heard like 42 minutes, and I don't know if anyone's actually given the runtime, but that sounds about right to me. With the last week's episode being 37, I wouldn't be surprised if this week's goes like, 42, 45 minutes, something like that. And then I think next week's episode, the finale, will definitely be like at least an hour. It might even go over an hour. I could see it going like an hour and 15 minutes or, something along those lines. So I think next week's episode will definitely be at least an hour. Oh yeah, and Jay mentioned the Bad Batch. The announcement date on that was May the 4th, the animated series. So that's something to look forward to. Um, again, it looks like we're gonna have a little bit of a gap, in April, but then things will start to pick back up in May and June. What's up, Henry? Neil says, I wish WandaVision held up on repeat viewings, but most episodes are pretty weak as standalones. Um, I haven't tried going back and watching any episodes. I definitely don't feel like it has rewatchable appeal like say The Mandalorian does. I've gone back and rewatched, Mandalorian multiple times and enjoyed it each time. So I kind of agree with you there. But honestly, I feel like that's how most of the Marvel movies are, at least for me. There's a few exceptions. Like I can watch Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and Civil War. I can watch those multiple times and have. But most of the MCU movies, I don't find myself having a strong desire to go back and rewatch. I guess in large part for me, it's about finding out the next piece of the puzzle. And once you found that piece out, the show loses some of its appeal. So I think in the long run, or maybe the short run is the better word to use, that works well for the MCU. But I agree, it's not one of those shows where you can really would want to go back and rewatch over and over again. Now, especially like the first three episodes. I mean, I still say the first three episodes of WandaVision were just boring and the same thing I feel like could have been accomplished in a much shorter period of time. So, as far as the rest of the season, I mean, I guess until we see how it completely plays out, it's hard to say for sure. But again, I don't think it'll have the kind of rewatchable appeal that say like The Mandalorian does. Now, hopefully, maybe Falcon and the Winter Soldier will, but I'm a little biased on that because I'm a huge Captain America fan. I can't wait to see U.S. Agent make his MCU debut as the new Captain America and all that. So, but we'll have to see what kind of rewatchable appeal that show ends up having as well. Osmond says, I think because the Wanda episodes will be better as a whole after the episodes are out. Well, again, I do agree with you there that, again, I think, and I felt this since day one, that WandaVision is one of those series that probably is better if you can watch it, if you could just watch the whole season in one sitting. I feel like the show would definitely be better overall. Of course, it wouldn't, we wouldn't be sitting here each week guessing what's going to happen next. I mean, I think that is some of the fun appeal of WandaVision. And again, kind of with all the MCU movies, is just trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Because I think a lot of us, who watch these shows have at least a base knowledge of things in the comics, and we're trying to figure out if, oh, well, this happened in the comics, so is this what's going to happen in the TV series and stuff? So, I do think there's an aspect that makes that kind of fun, whereas if you did watch it all in one sitting, you would lose that aspect of it. But as a whole, I kind of agree that if you could watch the whole thing, it's just kind of like one big episode, it would be better, especially those first three episodes. Michael says U.S. Agent and Falcon will likely fight for the shield. I don't know. I kind of, my feeling is the government's going to come in and take the shield from Falcon, and I doubt he's going to put up much of a fight. I mean, they probably will clash at some point, but I don't think they're really going to fight per se. The question I have is, will Falcon and Winter Soldier be fugitives? Are they going to be considered fugitives, especially Winter Soldier, after the event? Because they really technically, if you think about it, haven't cleared up their legal issues that they had going into Avengers Infinity War. So, you would think that maybe the government would clear them, but you never know. So, and you got to kind of figure maybe that's why they wouldn't let Falcon keep the shield and give it to Walker. So, I'm sure they feel Walker's probably more controllable, is another reason. But you have to wonder if for a large part of this show, both Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to be fugitives, and maybe Walker is sent after them to bring them in, for justice or whatever. CM Brock, I recently, because of WandaVision, went back and started watching the Marvel movies from the beginning in relative order. I'm on Iron Man 3 right now. I didn't go that far back. I went back and watched Civil War, and then Avengers Infinity War and Endgame the other week, but I didn't feel a huge need to go back to the very beginning. What's up, Oscar? Welcome to tonight's live stream. Neil, the intro of Powered Monica was pretty weak sauce. Also, I wanted more, but the intro, as I felt, was, well, I'm assuming you mean just in general in the episode, seeing her start to exhibit her abilities. Well, I would say give it time. I'm sure by the last episode we'll probably get to see more of her using her powers. So, it was kind of an interesting standoff between her and Wanda. Wanda kind of was taken aback a little bit when she realized that maybe Monica had some abilities. So, I still stand that I don't think it was actually going through the hex wall that gave her powers. I think she had her powers already. Maybe it kind of like brought them more forward or such, but I feel like she had the powers and then uh, is starting to utilize them. Kyle says all the fake Spider-Man titles are different colors for the villains in the film. Green for Vulture, silver for Doc Ock, purple for Mysterio, and blue for Electro. I had not thought about that, but that sounds like a reasonable hypothesis. Coco says Falcon kills U.S. agent in the second episode. I doubt that. We don't see Falcon use the shield with his Falcon Wings costume, so maybe he gets a new suit and uses it with that, says Blake. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that Falcon will at some point end up with a new costume. Um, for those who haven't seen it, I won't spoil it, but there's definitely been some toy leaks that would indicate that. So I definitely feel he gets a new suit. I mean, but the question is, I mean, last time we see the shield in Avengers Endgame, Steve Rogers hands it to the Falcon. So, and it even looks like at one point there's a scene in the trailers we've seen where like Falcon throws the shield and then Winter Soldier catches it. And it looks like they're in that same area of where, Steve gave him the shield. So I don't know if this is going to pick up, like, will the series pick up literally from where Avengers game ended? Will we see Steve Rogers sitting on the old man Steve Rogers sitting on the bench handing Falcon the shield, and then that's where the series actually picks up, or will it be later on? I don't know. And I really, again, I find it hard to believe that Steve Rogers isn't going to have some type of role in this series. So, though I've heard some people suggest that they're going to like kill him off or fake kill him off or something. There's going to be a funeral for him or something. So I don't know. MK Solid, does U.S. Agent have the serum? No, he does not have the super soldier serum, if that's what you mean. He was artificially enhanced for a pro wrestling league, is where he originally got his powers, which is essentially just super strength. So At least in the comic books. I don't know about I don't know what they're going to do in the movies or, the MCU. Jack says, "What can we expect in these last few episodes?" Well, I suspect I think this well let's talk before we get into the final 2 weeks. Let's talk about last week's episode. So, obviously the big reveal last week was Agatha, Harkins, I think is how you say her name. Agnes turned out to be Agatha as many suspected. We had kind of talked about that in some of the previous live streams. So I don't think that was a huge surprise. I still don't think, even though they tried to kind of make us think that that Agatha was actually the one that was behind everything, I don't buy it. I still think there's a greater power at play here, and it's looking more and more like Mephisto, in my opinion. So, and the thing about Agatha is she's not really a bad guy in the comic books. She started out in the comic books essentially as being Franklin Richards, Reed and Sue's kid. She was his babysitter essentially. Um, so they really kind of taken her, or at least starting out here, have made her appear to be much more evil and bad than I recall her ever being in the comics. She did have a role. She played a bit of a role in the West Coast Avengers, where when Wanda lost her kids and that whole Master Pandemonium story. But again, I've never really viewed her as a bad guy. So John says if aged Steve Rogers appears in the series, I hope he gets de-aged CGI. Be better than Luke in The Mandalorian. I think eventually he'll get de-aged, but whether it's in the series or not, I don't know. Michael says it's Harkness. Agatha Harkness. Now, one thing I've been seeing a lot of theories that like Quicksilver is actually Agatha's son, who is also the bunny, and I hope that turns out to be false. I hope that's not the case. I hope Quicksilver is really Quicksilver from the X-Men universe. Um, so I definitely didn't like that indication in last week's episode that essentially Agatha was the one behind Quicksilver. So, hey Jack, chill out, dude. Coco says Mark Hamill is Nightmare. That would be interesting. But I think it's gonna end up being Mephisto. The actor who plays Vision was in a recent interview where he says there's going to be a big uh, MCU guest star, I guess, in the final episode. So I think it's going to be Mephisto, but who knows who's going to play him? Yeah, I agree, Omega. That's been my theory all along that Ralph is actually Mephisto. Agnes's husband. So I am still sticking with that theory. Now, in the fight, so it, I believe that was the Book of Darkhold that was seen in the dungeon, or whatever you want to call that room that was in Agnes's basement. So that is probably going to play somewhat of a key role going forward. And then in the commercial for last week's episode with the depressant and everything, the Nexus, I think that's kind of a big clue. In the comics, Wanda is a Nexus being, which means she can basically transverse into different universes without, basically, she can basically pop into any universe that she wants, which is how she kind of did the whole House of M thing. Coco says he likes Mephisto, but everyone says they can't because of China. Any truth to that? I don't think there's any truth to that. I don't know what China would have to do with Mephisto, but Oscar thinks Doctor Strange will appear in the last episode. I think there's a possibility. Omega thinks Hayward is an Hydra agent or a Kree. I think he's Ultron. I'm going with the Ultron theory on Hayward, um, and I think it's IMDb that has like Ultron listed at James Spader, who voiced Ultron in Age of Ultron. He's actually listed in the credits for WandaVision, and I've seen some people justify that by saying, well, it's because of a flashback scene, but I don't think there was any flashback scenes that actually featured Ultron in it. So I'm thinking that we might be seeing Ultron again here. Um, I don't know if they would show him in his robot mode, but he might, we might hear him speak as James Spader or something at the end. Hey Coco, again, I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, if there's some problem in China, they would probably just dub it or something, call it something else. But I don't think they would not use that character because of that. Kyle, do I think we'll see Jocasta show up in the MCU? Maybe. I mean, I don't think we'll see her in WandaVision, but anything's possible. Oscars, Aaron Taylor listed. I don't think so. And what about, so we didn't get the reveal of Monica's friend. I don't think that Major was the actual friend. I think she works for whoever her friend was, who designed that lunar module or lunar roller. So we still don't know who that is, whether it's Reed Richards or uh, Blue Marvel. I've seen some people suggest that perhaps that major character is a Skrull, and maybe her friends are Skrulls. I don't know. I hope not. I kind of feel like the whole Skrull invasion thing needs to be a separate thing, but Jerry, unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna see like X-Men in any real way. Like, I don't think we're gonna see Magneto roll up at the end or Professor Xavier or anything like that. I wish, but I don't. My feeling is that's not going to be the case. I think they're going to hold the X-Men until something bigger and later on down the road. Blade Runner says we need the Shi'ar. Blake says I wished It was the Skrulls in Avengers 1. I don't like that they are the good guys. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, but we haven't really seen enough of the Skrulls to know whether they truly are good guys or not. So I thought the researcher was going to be Reed Richards. Well, again, I'm not ruling that out. Well, I assume you mean by researcher, you mean well, I don't know which you mean by researcher, but I still think maybe Monica's friend is Reed Richards, but we'll have to see. Kyle says, "I hope Al Pacino shows up as Mephisto." That would be an interesting actor to play Mephisto. I could even see that, to be honest. Going back to that interview that the actor who played Vision, uh, he indicated that whoever this character that's going to show up at the end is going to be played by an actor that he has long admired and wanted to work with. So, it could be somebody like that, I guess. And I mean, we've had actors like Robert Redford in the movies and things like that. So Al Pacino definitely, I think, is certainly possible. All figures considered, looking forward to Hawkeye and She-Hulk as well. Yeah, there's so many series coming; it's hard to keep track. Like I'm interested in seeing the Moon Knight series, and I think that might be really good. Hawkeye will probably be pretty good. She-Hulk, She-Hulk's gonna be probably very similar to like WandaVision in some ways, I think. Blake, I gotta figure we'll see Super Skrull eventually, especially once they introduce the Fantastic Four. John says the actor who played Steppenwolf in Justice League also played Mephisto in the Ghost Rider sequel. Jack says, "Notice me and I'll leave." Dude, I don't care if you leave or not. I don't know why you're making inane comments, but if whatever floats your boat, man. Jerry, she killed Sparky. She's the real villain. But did she really kill Sparky, or did Sparky really eat something he wasn't supposed to, like the drug or whatever? Like I've seen theories saying that there's a plant that's grown in Wundagore that Agatha uses for like mind control or something. So Oscar says, off topic, are we getting Marvel Monday next week? Yes, we are, Oscar. Mega says, you have a pretty nice collection. Thanks, man. Michael says, could tomorrow's episode explain how the whole sitcom reality happened? Maybe. I think I think we're gonna learn tomorrow. I think we'll probably truly learn Quicksilver's identity and whether he's truly working for Agatha or he was a pawn or something else. Like, I assume most of you, if not all of you, caught the after credit scene or mid credit scene, whatever, where Quicksilver sneaks up behind Monica and says, "Snooper's gonna snoop." And I don't necessarily think that Quicksilver was there to bust Monica. He may have come up to see what she was doing and may end up helping her. So again, I know a lot of people think that, Quicksilver is not even really Quicksilver and he's a bad guy working for Agatha or something like that. But I'm still holding out hope that he is actually Quicksilver, that he wasn't actually sent there by Agatha, and that he's actually, gonna end up helping, not being a hindrance. Jason is interested in seeing what happens with the twins in these last episodes. So I don't, because of who the twins are, I don't think they will be truly killed off, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't seemingly get killed off. And it's possible that's something that could happen in this week's episode, that the kids are, will have appeared to have been killed or eaten or whatever, had their souls consumed by Mephisto, um, which is what happened in the comic books. But then, of course, they were essentially then later on reincarnated. So whatever happens to the kids in this show, I don't necessarily think that will be truly the end of them. God, if we don't get any Marvel Legends MCU reveals until April, I assume that means that the figures will possibly spoil Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm not sure. I mean, I think we'll get reveals in April if you're talking specifically about the Disney Plus series or of Marvel Legends. I mean, we know what the figures are going to be. I suppose the only one that might be spoilerish is the Falcon figure himself, depending on what outfit that they're actually doing for the Falcon for that particular figure. So, yes, I guess that one could be, again, there was the leaked toy. It wasn't a Marvel Legend, but it was like one of those Titan Hero figures. So, if that's what the Marvel Legend version is based on, I can see them holding that. But all the other figures in the wave, I mean, again, we don't know what version of Wanda and Vision they're going to do, but I can't believe there is any version that we haven't really already seen in the series that they'd be basing it on. So, but there's definitely going to be a Marvel Monday reveal this coming Monday, which is the first Monday of the new month. And it is something that I've talked about previously, so it'll be another confirmation of something I've told you guys about. But I don't know yet if there's going to be like an actual another Fan Friday type thing like we just had the other week for April, or I mean March. Um, indications seem to be that March is going to be a big month for Marvel Legend reveals, but I don't know how much we're going to see in this coming month. I'm sorry, April is going to probably be likely a big reveal for reveals, and I don't know how much we're going to see in March. But there definitely will be a reveal this coming Monday. Theories of involvement or awareness of Doctor Strange about all this. I think I don't see how he could not be aware. So the question is, though, will he actually show up at some point in this series or not? But it would be hard to, seemingly think that he wasn't aware, have some idea of what's going on here. I mean, I would assume, I mean, maybe it's being kept top secret, I don't know, but I would assume something like, a big giant red hex covering a city in New Jersey would be hard to keep hidden from the media and the press. So you got to kind of figure that the news, it's all over the news and everything. I mean, one of the thoughts that's crossed my mind while I'm watching this series is, where are the Avengers? Now, keeping in mind this takes place after Endgame, the there isn't really an Avengers team right now because obviously Tony Stark is dead. Thor has gone off into space. Hawkeye is doing his thing with his family. Obviously Falcon and Winter Soldier, we're going to see what they're up to, but there isn't really an established, I don't think there's an actual fully functioning, Black Widow's dead, so there's not really a fully functioning Avengers team probably at the very moment. So, but still, you've got to figure that the general population is at least aware that something is going on there in New Jersey. Which, if that's the case, even if for some reason Strange couldn't sense it on a psychic plane or magic plane or whatever, all he would do is just turn on the TV and see that something's going on. What's up, Joshua? Welcome to the live stream. John, yes. In the comics, at least, Agatha is a real witch dating back to the Salem witch trials. Henry G. Yes. Pacino did play the devil once in a movie with Keanu Reeves. You're correct. Joshua, yeah, it would be kind of cool if some of the X-Men showed up, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Kyle says Wanda has a new costume on the poster shown on Disney Plus. I haven't seen that, so I'll have to take a look. There was a new trailer for, or not trailer, but like a new video clip that was put up on YouTube by Disney for Falcon and the Winter Soldier today, which gives us probably our best look at Zemo. John says, I wonder if Wanda will get her nick. Well, you keep saying his nickname, but I assume you mean her nickname, Scarlet Witch, by the end of the series. But I've heard that. I heard that she will be officially titled Scarlet Witch by the end of the series. So I would say yes. What's up, Drastic Plastic? Redneck Trekker, what's up? I'm still confused as to why Vision has his powers and that this fake Mind Stone works on people. Has a reanimated corpse and it's cleanly not the real Mind Stone. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either, though in one of the trailers that they or video clips or whatever that they released, it looks like at some point Wanda actually reassembles the Mind Stone. So I don't I don't know, how she's brought him back to life and what, why he can't leave the hex and all that. So I'm sure that will be somewhat explained in the final two episodes, but they really haven't, given us enough info at this point to be able to really say. What about Hawkeye, says Phil. What about him? I mean, he's got his own series coming up. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you mean, why hasn't he come to see what's going on? Yeah, that's kind of a good question. Since he and Wanda had a pretty close relationship. Nicholas, any more news on the Avengers Deluxe figure? Not that I have to share with you guys today, but soon. Though I will tell you, I don't know exactly what it is, so that's why I haven't. John says all the Infinity Stones are destroyed in the current MCU. Well, we've had that discussion in past live streams, and I think you're right, but some have pointed out, can you truly destroy the minds or the Infinity Stones, or do they just kind of, I don't know. Oscar says, do you think the bunny is a demon or some creature? The bunny may be Agatha's son, which is actually in the comics his name like Screech or something like that. So it's possible, and that's where some people seem to think that Agatha's son is the bunny, who is also Pietro, and I don't know. But yes, I do think there's more to the bunny than reach the eye. Some people think that Pietro is actually an agent of Strange and he has found him in the multiverse. Well, that was my theory, from a few weeks ago when we were talking about this stuff, that Quicksilver was actually not Mephisto. When a lot of people thought Quicksilver was Mephisto, my theory is that he was actually working for Doctor Strange and was sent there by Doctor Strange, since he was like asking Wanda how she created all this. Um, and I still think there's possibility of that, but in last week's episode, they made it seem like Agatha was the one who created him, or what have you. So we'll have to see how that turns out. Kuko sends, the gems are gone. Thanos destroyed them. Yes, but again, something like those stones, which are essentially essences of the universe, can they truly be destroyed? Yes, he destroyed the physical form of the stones, but is it possible for them to reassemble themselves? Coco says Loki is the big reveal. He steals the Mind Stone from a multiverse and gives it to Wanda in exchange for her help. That could be, I guess. I don't think Loki is the big guest star reveal that's been hinted at, but and I think some of this will end up having a role in the Loki series. So Kyle says one of the titles in the last episode said, "I know what you are doing, Wanda. I wonder who that could be. Monica, Agatha, Strange, Magneto." I don't think it was Monica. The going theory on that is it was Agatha just trying to essentially drive, uh, trying to make Wanda crazy. Oscar says Feige said they are done with the stones. Well, I don't think we're gonna see like another Infinity Gauntlet, but the stones, I think, couldn't be totally gone because they're gonna have a role in the multiverse, and I think still have some role with Vision. So again, I'm not saying they're going to be reassembled in an Infinity Gauntlet, but I don't think the stones are truly will never be mentioned again in the MCU. Jason, what if Quicksilver is Doctor Strange? Well, again, as far as all these theories about, well, what if Quicksilver is really this person, or what if Quicksilver is really that person? My question is, if you were impersonating Quicksilver, why wouldn't you impersonate the one that was in Avengers Age of Ultron? Why would you impersonate a different multiverse version of Quicksilver? That to me doesn't make a lot of sense. And I don't believe if they wanted to get the actor who played Quicksilver in Age of Ultron back, they couldn't. So there's got to be a reason why they chose the Quicksilver from the Fox universe to be in the show. And so, I don't know what that reason is at this point, or that it's necessarily is in fact the Quicksilver from the Fox universe, but I feel like if it was just somebody impersonating Quicksilver, it would be much more logical, and they were trying to get close to Wanda using her brother, that they would actually use her actual brother and not create a multiverse version. Kyle, do I think Black Widow will get pushed again? No, I don't think it'll get pushed. I do think there's a very good chance it will get released. It will get a simultaneous release at home, or like maybe a week after it's in theaters or something like that. But I don't think they'll push the date again. I don't think they can, without totally screwing up the entire Marvel MCU. So I think they're either going to have to release it in theaters and hope that things are fairly back to normal by then, by May, which I don't think there's much chance of that, or they're going to have to release it in theaters and then do a simultaneous release at home on like Disney Plus or such. So my guess is they'll end up doing the simultaneous release, but we'll have to see. See you later, Fabrico. Have a good one. Kyle, I wonder if Falcon and Winter Soldier will tie in events of WandaVision. WandaVision was originally supposed to be released after Falcon, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think there'll be any major, tie-ins between those two shows. I think both are going to be, are kind of stringing threads into different aspects of the MCU, so I don't think there's really going to be a strong connect. I think the next connection with WandaVision is going to be the Loki series. So, and then I think the Loki series will probably take us into the Doctor Strange movie, or possibly the Spider-Man movie. I feel like I feel like I feel like you're going to have two threads. You're going to have WandaVision is going to take us into Loki, and then Loki will take us into Doctor Strange, and then there will be another thread that is started in the Spider-Man movies that will also dump into Doctor Strange, and then everything will kind of converge in the Doctor Strange movie for this particular storyline. But we'll have to see if that's actually how things play out. But again, I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier are going to be going in a different direction, which will, maybe in the long run will circle around. That's one of the things that's really kind of unclear to me, with no indications that there's going to be another Avengers movie. I don't know. I mean, what is going to be the big anchor for the MCU if they're not doing more Avengers movies? So that to me, is kind of the big unknown right now as far as the overall picture that is going to happen here. Michael says the bunny is just Agatha's pet. She has a cat in the comics. Yes, she does have a cat, but I do think that there's more to the bunny than we know yet. So Redneck Trucker says, and Wanda flat out asked Pedro, why does he look different? So she is aware that he's not the right one, which just leads to more questions. I agree. Oscar says Spider-Man comes out before Multiverse of Madness. Right, which is why I say, but I don't think necessarily. I mean, it might. I mean, there might be something that happens in Loki that causes whatever happens in Spider-Man 3. So it's possible, but I still kind of feel like that it's more likely, just mainly because it's a Sony movie, that you know the events of this series, WandaVision, are going to dump in directly. Essentially, things are going to pick up in the Loki series from WandaVision, which will then take us to the Doctor Strange movie. And then, kind of like over here, we're going to have the Spider Man movie, which will then also dump into the Doctor Strange movie. So, if you're looking at it, you have this string that comes in, you have the Doctor Strange movie up here, and then you have WandaVision, Loki that kind of dump into it, and then you have the Spider-Man movie that kind of dump into it, as opposed to having WandaVision, Loki, Spider-Man, and then uh, Doctor Strange. If you get what I'm trying to say. Kyle says there probably will be an Avengers movie, but they can't reveal yet possible spoilers based on these shows. Well, I mean, you're right. There could be at some point there could be another Avengers movie, but there definitely, had things not been disrupted because of COVID, there definitely wasn't going to be an Avengers movie in 2020 or 2021. So eventually, yes, there could be an Avengers movie, but it's not like it was before where there was like an Avengers movie every year. Um, so I don't know. Black Widow is a Falcon and Winter Soldier tie-in, is all I remember hearing, says Joshua. I don't I don't know. I I don't think Black Widow really tie. I mean, there might be some. I don't think we'll see Black Widow return in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Could something that happened in Black Widow's life, like something that could have happened in, say, the Black Widow movie, tie into Falcon and the Winter Soldier? And remembering that the Black Widow movie is really a story that takes place before Avengers Infinity War. That's a possibility, but I don't think, I think we might get an indication of Natasha's status in the Loki movie, because I think she's hanging out in the Mind Stone, to be honest. Or not the Mind Stone, but the Soul Stone. And so I think we might get see her in the Loki series, but I don't think, again, there might be something that happened, like I could see like Taskmaster or Red Guardian or something along those lines having a role with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I don't see Natasha herself showing up in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. I can see, again, same thing with the Hawkeye series. I don't know if Natasha will end up showing up in that series herself, but elements of characters that were around her might show up, like Yolana or whoever. All right, it's been about an hour, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. If you guys have a few more questions you want to ask, Kyle says he can't wait for the Eternals. Feige and company believe it is the best Marvel thing they have produced yet, and it is directed by Chloe, who's getting lots of awards. consideration for Nomadland. I haven't. I mean, only thing we've really seen for the Eternals so far is like their outfits, based on the concept artwork and the Marvel Legend figures that have leaked out. So I honestly, it's hard to say. The Eternals themselves, to me, I've never found terribly exciting. So it's hard, just based on the Eternals and knowing nothing else. It's hard to for me to get excited for the movie, but I mean, if we see more on the way, I mean, I've heard things like we're gonna see a young Thanos, and obviously it's pretty likely we're gonna see more on the Celestials and stuff like that. So that could definitely be interesting. But I don't. To me, it's not going to be on par with like an Avengers movie as far as being like an anchor for the MCU. All good here, bro. Have a good night, y'all. I got ninjas to pose. Take it easy, Joshua. Have fun posing your ninjas. I wonder if those are red ninjas or hand ninjas. Coco says we could get Thanos and mutants out of Eternals. Well, we've already had Thanos. If we see Thanos, I'm guessing it's some type of flashback thing. I don't. Jerry says, I think it's Magneto bringing in mutants like Pietro and Wanda's kids into the MCU. I definitely don't think it's Magneto behind her kids. It's possible it could, Quicksilver, he could have a hand with Quicksilver, but I guess in part it's because people I know who know what's going to happen in this series have made indications that X-Men probably aren't going to show up in this series. So I guess that's why I don't think it's going to, we're going to see Magneto or Professor X or somebody like that show up at the very end. They could be those people that I'm referring to could be, deliberately being misleading. I don't know, but I still, especially if we're going the Mephisto route, if Mephisto is the one behind it, I think Doctor Strange is a possibility. But I don't think it's going to be the X-Men. At best, I think it would be something like where it does in fact turn out to be that Quicksilver is Quicksilver from the Fox universe, and there's maybe an explanation of how he got pulled into this. But I don't think, again, I don't expect to see Magneto or Professor X or somebody like that rolling up in the final episode. Coco says Thanos imprisons the Eternals. That's why they were a no-show for Endgame. Blade Runner says Wanda screws up badly. 3 movies, Marvel Zombies, in the attempt to fix the world. Kyle says, "How long do I expect the next WandaVision episode to be?" I'm gonna put it in the 40 to 45 minute ballpark. That's my guess. and I suspect there will be another after or mid-credit scene. I saw an interesting theory that suggested that the reason why last week's episode was the only episode so far that had a mid-credit scene is because of the timeline. Like all the other episodes took place before, the 2000s and stuff, when after credit scenes became a thing in movies. And so that's why, now that we're in more modern times with the show, that's why they're now incorporating the after credit scene in the series. Martin says, "What's up with the new GI Joe Classified?" Going way off topic, but what do you mean? What's going on with the GI Joe Classified? And making Long Ranger toys. The only one I'm aware of making or Lone Ranger toys is a Boss Fight Studio, Martin, and those are like 4-inch figures, not 6-inch. Quinn Comics. Have I seen the pics of the new Masters of the Universe Netflix figures? Of course I have, man. We covered it on TNI when the moment they broke during the investor panel yesterday. Plus, there's the leaked Skeletor image with the one with the horn. So, but overall, those look pretty good. I had to laugh though because for those of you not familiar, Mattel had their own Investor Day panel yesterday, and during the panel, they showed images of our first official images of the Masters of the Universe Masterverse figures. He-Man, Battle Cat, Skeletor, and Evil Lyn were the three figures they showed. And this was a live thing, so but afterwards, you know, like 24 hours later, they put it up on their website so you could go back and rewatch it if you want. But then they blanked out the images of the toys that they had shown in the actual live stream version. I was like, what's the point? The images, people had already taken screen caps and had passed them all over the internet and everything. What's the point of blanking them out now? Quinn Comics. Go to TNI, man. It's a very small blurry image, but it's listed as a jumbo size figure. This showed up on a overseas retailer site, so where English isn't their first language. So I think this is like a deluxe figure. And if you've ever read the DC comic book series Eternia War, it looks very much like how Skeletor appeared in that with these big horns. And it seems like it's pretty legit because that same site that posted that image also posted an image of the Battle Cat, which is the same image, or not the same image, but you can tell it's the same toy that the one that Mattel showed. The image that the overseas retailer posted shows Battle Cat without his helmet on, but again, you can see it's the same toy. So I'm pretty sure it's, the Skeletor is legit as well, because obviously if this retailer site got these images of Battle Cat, it stands to reason they also got the images of Skeletor. But we have all that up on TNI, so you should go check it out if you haven't seen it already. Kyle says, "I bet we'll see Captain Marvel show up in WandaVision." I don't think we're gonna see Captain Marvel. Jerry says, "I'd like to see a new Panther and Griffin. I regret not getting the Masters of the Universe Classic version." I don't know about Griffin, but I'm sure Panther will show up in the line. And then, of course, there's the flocked version that for the Origins line that'll be released at Walmart. John Strata says Pixel Dan was in heaven with the Masters of the Universe presentation. Martin says he has 25 Cobra Vipers and found 10 today at Target. That's impressive if you really found 10 Vipers in one Target. Bean says, was he though? He seemed a little down in his latest video. I think Pixel Dan has been having some health issues, so I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while, but Quinn says, my thoughts on wants to know my thoughts on the designs. I don't think they look too bad. They I still have questions of whether these are actually based on the new Kevin Smith series. I definitely think some of the Masterverse figures will be based on the Kevin Smith series, but I don't think the entire line is going to be dedicated to the Kevin Smith series. I mean, the name Masterverse lends itself to, that they would be able to put figures from various things, the comics, all the different cartoons, maybe reissue classic figures of a type. I mean, not exact reissues, but that kind of design and stuff. So I'm curious to know if these are in fact actually, how the characters are going to look in the new Kevin Smith series, especially like that Skeletor with the horns, which again looks very much like the Skeletor from the DC comic book series Eternia War. So I don't know, but overall, and if they have 30 points of articulation, they're $20, like was said the line was going to have at PowerCon. I'm excited for it. I think they'll probably be cooler than the Origin stuff. Salome has joined us, everybody, coming in late. Say hello, everybody. Martin, who do I think will show up in in the Spider-Man 3 movie from the MCU? I think probably Doctor Strange. I'm not expecting really anybody else from the MCU to show up in the Spider-Man movie but Strange. Maybe Wanda, I guess possibly. We know Wanda is going to show up in the Doctor Strange movie, so Bean says he doesn't think there's enough information to have a fully formed opinion on the new Masters of the Universe line. Well, that's definitely true. I mean, the images that we've seen still weren't really highly detailed. So, but I've not seen anything that where I'm like, oh my god, these are horrible either. I mean, they look pretty different than the classic stuff, but I don't think Iron Man's going to show up in Spider-Man 3. I don't think War Machine's going to show up in Spider-Man 3 either. Jerry says he still owes me for the $10 clearance release of Masters of the Universe Classic in BL from TNI News. Got 12 figures including Adam, Adora, Angela, and Bo. That was sweet. I don't remember Feige specifically saying Wanda was going to be in Spider-Man 3. She's going to be in the Doctor Strange movie, but I don't think there's been any indication that Olsen is going to be appearing in Spider-Man 3. Cap in Spider-Man 3? I doubt it. Martin has the new Marvel Legend Thanos. Congrats, man. You're on a roll. Jay wants to know why Spider-Man can't have his own movie. Why does he have to depend on other heroes to carry him? Well, I think mainly because it draws more of an audience, to be honest. If Sony went off and did their own thing with Spider-Man without any real connection to the MCU, I don't think people would be as interested in it. So, I mean, I do kind of agree that even though, I mean, we all know how Spider-Man got his powers, but we don't really know how the Tom Holland Spider-Man got his powers. You know, we're 3 movies in and we still really have no idea how he actually got his abilities. So it might be nice if at some point they gave us a little more details about his origins. I mean, I don't think we need a full origins movie, but just some indication of how he actually got his powers and stuff would be kind of nice. Coco says Spider-Man needs no one to carry him. Well, see, I mean, yes, in some ways I agree, but in others I don't. Being that, honestly, for me, I thought the first 2 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies were decent, but the third one was horrible, and then I really didn't like either of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies too much. So, I mean, I didn't hate them, but I didn't think they were great movies in any way. So, now that being said, I didn't like the last Spider-Man movie that much either. I liked, the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. I thought was pretty good, but I wasn't a huge fan of this last one. Oscar wants to know if there's even an Uncle Ben. Yeah, again, I don't know. Coco, Spider-Man is Marvel's #1 property. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Spider-Man couldn't do his own movie. I'm just saying his track record has in the movies has not, in my opinion at least, has not been super duper stellar, beyond the first 2 Tobey Maguire movies. And then, again, I probably, in my view, I would rank them as the first 2 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and then the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, and then the rest of them just kind of, I don't know, Blade Runner. Garfield was better than Maguire. I didn't hate Garfield himself as Spider-Man. I just didn't like the movies themselves. I just didn't think they were that great. Kyle says Into the Spider-Verse is one of the best Spider-Man movies. I mean, that was a good Spider-Man movie, but I mean that was a cartoon movie, so and not really connected to anything else. I mean, at some point, I would like to see Venom and Spider Man in the same movie. I mean, one of the things I didn't like about the Venom movie was just that to me, you can't have a Venom origin without having Spider Man. It's kind of ridiculous. So, why the hell would the Venom symbiote take on looking like a costume like Spider-Man's without ever having been attached to Spider-Man. I mean, it just made no sense to me. So same thing with Carnage. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous how they totally have kind of ignored Spider-Man so far, at least in the Venom aspect of the Sony universe. So Blade Runner. Wait a minute. Maybe WandaVision plays in the Mojoverse. That fat slob is all over TV. I've heard Mojo being, I've heard a lot of Mojo theories for WandaVision. I don't think so, but that would be a definite. I mean, I think that would throw a lot of people for a loop. Of course, I think other than diehard comic book fans and maybe people who used to watch the old animated X-Men animated series, my guess is a lot of people wouldn't even know who Mojo is. Jerry says, "Well, I wouldn't use the word hate with the Venom movie, and if it was a different character than Venom, it probably would be even a better movie. I just, again, with a character like Venom, the whole thing about Venom is, Venom originally, the symbiote attached himself to Peter Parker during the Secret Wars. And then essentially Peter rejected the symbiote because the symbiote was essentially feeding off of him. And that caused the symbiote to basically become very angry and want to get revenge on Peter. And so he ended up, the symbiote ended up melding with Brock, and then they took on the Venom persona. But the Venom persona, or the the look of Venom is based on Spider-Man's costume. So again, if the symbiote had never attached itself to Venom or to Peter Parker and had no connection to Spider-Man whatsoever, why would it be taking on essentially mimicking a variation of Spider-Man's costume? It makes no sense. So that's to me, again, if it was a different character, if you took that movie and just made it about a random space alien that came to Earth and did everything that happened in that movie, I think it would be a much better movie. But when you look at it as actually Venom, I don't think it was a great movie. Tom, if we got a Professor X cameo, I would hope it was Patrick Stewart. But again, I'm not expecting to see Magneto or Professor X show up in WandaVision. Oscar, I would say Tom Hardy did a better job overall. Paint apps, how do you explain Deadpool and Spawn mimicking Spider-Man's costume? Lack of originality. Well, I don't think either Deadpool or Spawn mimic Spider-Man's costume. Deadpool is really based off more on Deathstroke from the DC comic book universe, and I think Spawn's just his own thing. Kyle says Topper Grace. I mean the Spider-Man 3 Venom, even though I think Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 was a bad movie, but the origins of Venom in that movie were much more similar to the comics than than the recent Venom movie. But the special effects in that movie were pretty bad. And of course, Kyle likes the Venom design in Spider-Man 3. Paint out Spawn with the eye shape and chains versus webbings. Well, I'm sure, being that Todd McFarlane was drawing Spider-Man for years before he did Spawn, probably there were some influences. But I don't really look at Spawn and see Spider-Man. All right, it's almost 9 o'clock, so I think we're going to wrap it up for the night. But I want to thank everybody who has joined in tonight. As always, it's much appreciated. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe. If you haven't already, it would be much appreciated. And probably the next video will be another live stream on Sunday where we'll focus more on the action figure elements. Maybe I'll have some Marvel Legends stuff to share with you, but either way, hopefully you'll tune in. I'm probably going to, I don't have it handy here, but my Mezco 112 Collective Christopher Reeve Superman finally showed up this week, so I'm probably we'll take a look at it in the review studio on Sunday during the live stream. So again, and probably that'll start around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So please do join in, and once again, thanks for joining in tonight, and hopefully, we'll have a lot, tomorrow after WandaVision, we'll have a lot to talk about, I'm sure, for next week. Again, if there's a pool going on somewhere, my money is on tomorrow's episode being between 40 and 45 minutes, as far as the runtime goes. And that's it. So stay safe out there, guys. Yeah, sorry, got a little distracted. Stay safe out there, guys. And as always, until next time, I will catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.